Meet the new James Bond, the video game James Bond.
Well, what are we waiting for?
My name's Patrick Gibson, and I play James Bond in First Light.
That's never going to be boring, is it?
Irish actor Patrick Gibson stars in 007 First Light, a fresh take on Ian Fleming's Spy. Daniel Craig's first outing, Casino Royale, was a cinematic Bond reboot, a trick this game is pulling with a younger Bond yet to earn his 00. Connery, Lazenby, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, Craig.
Very good. That was,
Now Gibson.
I'm glad you didn't ask me to do that.
What do you think you bring to your Bond?
In the origins, there's a wound there when you have a feeling that you have nothing to lose. When that's met with a purpose and a calling, and a feeling that you can make a change for good, that's a powerful weapon.
Fans of the books, there's some cool elements in there. The scar is in there, you know, Bond has a scar on his cheek, things like that. Were there any of those other things that you decided to bring into the character? I remember when Timothy Dalton took over the role, he said, you know, I'm going to do a very grounded Bond. I'm going to do a Bond which is much, much closer to Fleming's Bond.
The books were a real jumping off point for me. I'd grown up with the films, and I hadn't read any of the books before, and I started with Casino Royale, and I think, you know, I was so struck by how rich and complex the character is. You know, as I'd known from the films, and especially recent films, but I think I was struck by the timelessness of that character.
People are very familiar with IO games. People are familiar with the Hitman series and the methodical nature in which you can approach missions. You can approach missions in a wide variety of different ways. But does some of that DNA, is that in First Light?
Yes, because to present the character of Bond, like for you to play the character of Bond, we do need to offer you his entire gamut of his abilities. Meaning, you can definitely throw down, you can shoot, but you can also charm your way in. You can infiltrate. Like there's a whole spy work portion of gameplay.
Well, you lad got a faulty coffee machine?
Where in previous incarnations in games, it's been much more of just an action game. But here we're I believe much closer to the character of Bond and staying true to how he will solve situations and giving that over to the player. We've talked about what we call creative approach. So there's always a creative way. How do you want to go about this? And we offer you various ways doing that, using either gadgets or charm or your fists or finding a surprising way to get there.
Listen carefully. You have less than 1% chance of success. Now stand down.
I'll take those odds.
Bond.
Danish developers IO Interactive are behind this new game. Brighton in the UK is home to one of its teams working on First Light. Just like the films, there's an international flavour to this game's development, with studios in Sweden, Spain, Denmark and Turkey, as well as here in Brighton.
Now, where were we?
Our Brighton office has been extremely involved on 007 First Light because, you know what, it's important to be in Britain, I guess, in the UK, to be able to contribute to such an iconic brand.
We all have our secrets.
2021's No Time to Die, starring Daniel Craig, was the most recent Bond movie. Since then, creative control of the franchise has been handed over from long-time producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson to Amazon. There is a new movie in the works, and Denis Villeneuve of Dune fame is directing, but we don't know who's going to be starring as Bond. That means this game is acting almost as a bridge between Bond eras.
Can't say I'm surprised too.
Just like the big screen Bond, the game has a theme tune co-written by veteran 007 movie composer David Arnold and Lana Del Rey, who also provides vocals.
Follow me, I have something for you.
Brand tie-ins are just as shameless as the movies. Everything from luxury watches to Aston Martin are ticked off in product placement Bond bingo. And a star-turned villain in the shape of Lenny Kravitz.
Now, you die.
Carrying such a massive IP forward. We're very lucky to work on it, but that comes with a lot of responsibility, right? We've got to respect it.
Who do you work for? Take the shot!
IO is famous for the Hitman games. How have you ensured that First Light isn't just a Hitman game with a 007 skin on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a range of differences we've gone for. So from the ground up, we changed huge amounts of things about how the character moves, the different mechanics. But one of the main things that I help with is the combat, which in Hitman, it's very much a last resort. There's often a little chaotic firefight, and then normally you fail, you die. But Bond is much more about guns and action. So we've put a lot of work into making sure that that is a whole valid approach.
Typically in a Bond film, after he's dispatched a villain or a henchman, there'll be some sort of a quip. Is that built into the game as well?
So we have some humorous stuff. You'll have to play the game to see how much of it we do.
Over here. Looks like a trust fall gone wrong.
64 years ago, Dr. No introduced the spy on screen. This younger Bond may appeal more to Gen Z audiences.
I think it's just the gap between the visceral experience of playing a game and watching a show has gotten smaller.
I also think there are stories that are better served in a game. It does engage you in a completely different way.
Patrick, can I just have give me your best Bond, James Bond?
Wow. Let me tell you, if I had like a GoPro in my bathroom, that mirror has heard that line more than I would like to admit. No, you know what? I think I'm excited for people to see that in the game.
I'll give it a go if he won't. 007 First Light arrives on May 27th. This is Marc Cieslak for BBC News.